video game topics anyway.
Agreed.
That's what I always say.
Yeah, Patrick, today's the day. 600. Finally, you get your wish on the 600th episode of...
Oh my God, is it episode 600?
Yeah, it is.
Already?
Yeah. We've hit it during the pandemic.
We did it, boys. We put so much effort into preparing for this moment.
Which is to say, none. Okay, well, that's all right. We have a regular show to do, and we're going to do it now. So thanks, everybody, for being here live, and everyone that's at home while they're about to get a show. So here we go. It begins in 3, 2, 1.
I miss real-time strategy. The isometric perspective, the epic large-scale battles. Can't say I miss all this poking, though.
You're listening to The Instance.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Instance, episode 600. Woo! We were just talking about it. 600, man. 600. Gigantic plans today, which is to say there is no gigantic plans.
I cannot think of a better, more fitting way to begin the episode than you forgetting what the episode number is.
I mean, for a hot second.
I just thought of something.
Yeah.
I just thought of something really cool.
What's that?
Episode 666 will probably be, in a... It coincides with the release of Diablo 4.
Oh, hey.
Diablo 4.
Oh, so 666.
I wanted to release earlier, but...
Sure. Well, we would all take it now. I mean, I would have taken it a long time ago. That would have been great. But yeah, no, I'm down for a 666 Diablo 4 release. That's a fantastic idea. Look at Patrick invoking cool. the devil himself. That's fantastic. Well done. If those sorts of things scare you out there, well then look forward to 66 episodes from now. But for now, we're not doing that. We're doing this. We got a lot of World of Warcraft to talk about because things happened between last week and this week and the last time we spoke. For example, Mike Morhaime sat down in a tell-all interview.
I want to say something about my experience in World of Warcraft.
No, go ahead. Tell us
before we go into the news.
Of course. Yeah. What do you got?
So I'm still playing World of Warcraft, surprisingly, and I'll get to Pathfinder, I think, within 1 or 2 weeks. I'm very happy about that.
Yeah.
But first of all, I thought I had friends. Turns out I don't. I can't talk about Torghast because I do not have any access to any beta. So I'm just like the rest of the listeners, poor, unaccessed person. So I'm not, welcome in the Blizzard Valhalla.
I see.
That's something I wanted to say. Second of all of a sudden, I'm going to be very critical of World of Warcraft.
Oh,
but
all right.
no, I love it. But the two narratives, we knew it was like they were conflicting with one another. But I really think it's actually beyond gameplay the worst decision of this expansion.
Oh,
the conflict between the Horde and Alliance is a great, really cool story, and I think it's almost ruined by the butting in of N'Zoth, which is a pretty standard antagonist story for World of Warcraft expansions. It's fine, but having the two, either of them would have been okay alone, like would have been good, but the two of them together, I think, do not work at all. It's really bad, and they don't fit in
vanilla.
Yeah, did you raid in vanilla?
I'm sorry?
Did you raid in vanilla?
I did, not a lot, but I did. Yes, I actually downed Ragnaros.
Well, also, I also want to know: did you raid in Wrath of the Lich King?
Yes, I almost killed the Lich King, almost, and then they had to go to bed, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And we're not going to do this tomorrow. We will not. We were like phased like 2/3 the Lich King, and turns out we didn't. And the expansion was released the next week, and I never downed Lich King, and I will forever resent my former guild for this.
You should. So, yes, I can't believe you belong to a guild that didn't finish off the Lich King. It was the most important raid of the history of the game, and you guys bailed on it? I can't believe it.
So pissed, man. So
So
pissed.
did you have strong opinions about the mixing of Old Gods in with larger narratives in Vanilla or Wrath of the Lich King? Because we had a very similar thing going on there.
Yeah, I think the original Vanilla wasn't super strong on the narrative side. It wasn't a very cohesive story, and it was a lot of small interesting stories, but I think it's not the pinnacle of WoW expansion storytelling.
Yeah, Vanilla was more about things like Mancrick's wife and little memorable things in a much larger world that took forever to get through, and that it was the mystery of the world. The big, solid, long-running, capital narratives didn't really start to kick in. I would argue Lich King, I think, was the first time that was really a thing. I mean, there were important story beats happening throughout, but that's when it became sort of epic and huge. I'm not a fan of the Old God stuff in general because it feels like a gimmick you just sort of fall back on when you're out of ideas or you need something bigger than the bad you already have. And so I tend to agree with Patrick on tonally, I don't think it's a good fit. The way this expansion was launched, it had this tone of, all right, Anduin and Sylvanas, we're squaring off. This is like back to basics. In fact, that's how they really sold it to us and BlizzCons and things leading up to it. It was like, yeah, this is the coming back together of what's the core conflict. It's Alliance v Horde, and we're really going to go to town on it. And for a while there, it seemed like they were going to, but then it just turned slowly into this other thing. And I'm not sure I like this other thing better than that core conflict. Maybe if they had launched saying N'Zoth is the whole thing for the whole expansion, maybe I'd feel better about it. But I just think Old Gods are an easy fallback.
It just feels like I've gone through the whole quest chain in a few days, and it just feels like one butts into the other. It's like the conflict between the two is really ramping up, and the dramatic the tension of it is strong, and you don't really know what's going to happen. I mean, but it's still good storytelling. And then it's like, oh, but there's N'Zoth there. We should fight him. Should we not kill Sylvanas because there's N'Zoth? And it never gels. It's always those two things together side by side, and it never becomes one story. And it's just a little bit.
Is it enough to ruin
I agree with that.
Go ahead,
I guess
Derek.
I thought the war campaign was the worst part of the expansion, and N'Zoth was some of the best part of the expansion.
Okay.
Would you prefer
gameplay wise or story wise?
Yes. Yes is my answer to that.
Fair enough.
Well, would you have preferred the whole thing be just a giant N'Zoth story then, and just take out the?
Well, yeah, to a certain degree. Well, this is the thing: is like I think more so on the Horde than maybe the Alliance. The Alliance, I thought, was actually pretty subtle, except for their entire new race with these nautical people that clearly would probably have something to say about a giant Kraken god. But like Najmir is basically like an entire zone which story culminates in like beating you as hard as it possibly can over the head that Old Gods are coming back.
Yeah.
Like that's part of the leveling, and it also the very first raid of the expansion deals in Old Gods and Titan, facilities. So I thought the beginning of the expansion actually did a pretty damn good job, because it tied in at least a portion of like the story of like the overarching story of BFA with the war and everything into like very deeply into the Zandalari trolls. And like I said, maybe a little more subtle over on the Alliance side, but you're totally right. Like the Sylvanas thing is just like, what does this have to do with N'Zoth? Oh, nothing. It has absolutely nothing to do with N'Zoth. Cool. All of my theories were pointless because you just couldn't be bothered to actually find a way to make this cohesive.
Yeah.
So I'm with you there. I guess I'm just like, I just completely disagree that, like, to me, like going back to some like orc Boy Scout hero that can't be moved from his belief system, that's like resting on your WoW laurels. I think like Sourfang's story did very little for me. Like it was really well executed, but it was like really well executed vanilla ice cream where I'm just like, oh, I'm glad it's Ben and Jerry's and not like generic grocery store brand, but it's still just vanilla Ben and Jerry's. I'd rather have
that's fair.
Cookies and cream.
That's fair. I guess I personally enjoyed the both storylines. but even more than that, my point was that the two don't work together, and that's too bad. It really just does not work as one story. It's really always the two together, and it doesn't work.
I get that. I totally get that.
On the gameplay side, though, on the gameplay side, I really enjoyed the N'Zoth related stuff. Like Corrupted Gear is really cool. You know, the Heart of Azeroth and the Visions of N'Zoth, all of those I think are work really well. But so yeah,
for whatever it's worth, you're enjoying it, and that's good. I mean, you guys are reminding me why I actually think I liked Cataclysm more than most people, and it's the same. Weirdly, it's the same reason I really liked Lich King. Was I knew where everything was headed, and in some ways that's too easy and not complicated, and there's no twists. But I knew we were eventually going to be taking on the Lich King at the top of Icecrown in a massive, amazing final scene. Like, I knew that was coming. I knew it from the beginning, and they didn't let me down. I had the fight I wanted at the end. And the same thing happened with Cataclysm. I knew that I was going to have to fight that dragon, and I knew it was going to come to at some point we were going to have that fight. And that fight was going to be epic and full of all kinds of weird stuff. And it did, and it was great. And I was more forgiving of other weaknesses in that thing because I thought that story, you know, it gave me what they said they were going to give me. This thing just doesn't deliver anything based on any sort of initial promises. Like, to call it Battle for Azeroth, I mean, yeah, we're always fighting for Azeroth. That's pretty much we literally yell for Azeroth all the time. Like, of course we're fighting for Azeroth. It doesn't matter if it's with each other or against some old god or against some underground thing we don't know about yet or whatever it is. We're doing the same shit every time we have one of these expansions.
Yeah, that's also very disappointing.
Yeah.
That we get back together finally in the end, and it's like, oh, we've been here once again, you know, over and over, and we always get back to this cycle. Anyway, I mean,
like, what do you want?
I enjoyed it, but
you want World of Peacecraft where the fighting stops? Like, what are you going to do at a certain point?
No, that's my point. I wish they had gone with the conflict between the Horde and Alliance until the end, and they didn't insert that thing that we have to fight together because, you know, we have to save Azeroth. I wish it had been more contentious until the end somehow. Okay. And they could have, you know, I would have been happy with the Sylvanas storyline and that aspect of it until the end. And the resolution of the expansion would have been, you know, Boy Scout Sourfang having to be a better Horde leader or like having to sacrifice himself, whatever. But keep it there. Don't also have it be, oh, but what's happening with the you know, the thing that we have to unite to fight against once again, as it always is. And the promise initially was that they weren't going to go there, or at least I think that it was implied. But,
yeah.
Anyway, again, it wasn't supposed to be a super long conversation.
Yeah, I'll borrow an earmark out of like Taliesin has mentioned this a bunch of times on his own stuff. I'm not even trying to promote a specific show or anything, but the whole that like for Legion we got essentially a roadmap. Like they told us at one point blank, we're going to Argus at the end, and just kind of managing expectations in that way helped a lot. But I think I still think, at a certain degree, like we kind of knew N'Zoth was coming, and it's still, we expected, I think, more things to be tied in. So like I guess I agree with both of you in the like larger scheme of things. I guess we're just.
Well, plus like, you like that old god stuff. You're into the Cthulhu monster business.
Well, it's one of my favorite aesthetics next to like the Scourge in this universe.
Right. And so it's not my thing, but I totally respect that being a big part of Warcraft for a lot of people. Like there are people who love the old god stuff. They love that eldritch horror looking freaking what's the name of the author? I always forget the name of who
Lovecraft.
does Lovecraftian sort of world stuff. Like you guys should get that stuff out of Warcraft because it's there and it's there for a reason. But when it comes along for me, I usually just go, oh, wait, what about this other thing we were doing? Because it just changes the tone immediately. It's like, well, we went from we're on the ground having skirmishes, the blood is at the end of my knife, we're having a real fight, and then suddenly, a thing I can't control that's so big, what are we going to do? I don't know, it's in my dreams. Like, we always end up going there at some point, and it's not really my jam as much, but Anyway, your mileage may vary, as you can tell, differing opinions. Patrick, also, I wonder if you being back in and the way that you're back in is making a difference, because these transitions that Garrett talked about, these pivot points of raid content suddenly being a big part of the story push to like, oh, okay, now we're going over here, we're doing this other thing. You didn't have to have that in the time frame that other players did when you were not playing. So you're just kind of like in, and so it's all crashing together. Do you think that's part of it?
I think definitely having done the whole war campaign almost, well, not the whole of it, but what I would say from 2.0 to, well, not 2.0, 8.2 to 8.25 was helpful, because it went in one go and it wasn't as piecemeal, obviously. So I think that helped a lot. But I still think I would have liked it regardless. And about N'Zoth, I'm not so much on Scott's side. I don't dislike it. It's just I would have liked it to. I would have liked them to choose a side, right? So.
All right. Well, that side, one of the sides flew off, and now we have to go deal with her again. So maybe that will all come into such great fruition in Shadowlands that none of us will care anymore about how half-assed we think the Sylvanas stuff ended up. Maybe we'll be.
It sure seems like Shadowlands is like very. It knows exactly what it is and where its conflict lies and what it's building up to versus BFA. But
yeah,
I just want to defend it a little bit. I kind of liked the variety we got in BFA, even if I agree that it wasn't very cohesive.
Garrett, you're a defender, not an offender, and I like that about you. Don't worry about it.
Boy, that's the first time anyone said that about me. All right. Thanks, man.
Except for that judge when you went to juvie. But other than that, it was fine. Hey, so this interview on VentureBeat, got to talk about this real quick. Everyone's good pal Mike Morhaime, former CEO and co-founder of Blizzard Entertainment, who's now kind of off on his own, doing his own, well, ventures of his own. He's doing lots of investments and other stuff. Had some stuff to say in an interview with VentureBeat. This was last week. I want to say last Wednesday. So it's been a few days. It was right after we did the show, or a day after. Anyway, a couple of takeaways. He said, and feel free to jump in on any of these, WoW and social gaming in the beginning, Mike thought, that is to say Mike Morhaime thought, WoW would reach a smaller audience and have to grow from there. We've heard stories about this before where they were like, hey, we think we'll cap out at about 1 million. And they did that in like the first few days. And suddenly they realized they had a much bigger beast and had to get more money and all that sort of stuff just to maintain the servers and get stuff ramped up so that new players could join. It's pretty interesting stuff. If you haven't had a chance to watch this thing, you should probably watch it. It's a relatively quick watch, and he talks about a bunch of stuff I think that'll be interesting to players of the game and Blizzard fans alike. He also said right away the curve was a lot steeper than he imagined. His takeaway was that WoW was the most social of Blizzard games at that point. I would say, well, yeah, of course. And I'm not sure they've ever equaled that in any of their other games. They're also not MMOs. They don't quite have the same, I don't know, sit there for 5 hours, kind of have a TV show on in the background, chatting with my friends kind of quality to them. If you're playing, Overwatch, you're busy shooting and dodging and diving, and that is
dipping.
Yeah, dipping. It's a much less social experience. He said you had groups of people experiencing the game together, especially in the beginning. You needed to join a guild to experience some of the content. That's true. Seems like they're getting back to that a little bit, which would be good. The social experience, being able to share your entertainment with others, was important. No, I wasn't sure what he meant by that, other than, I don't know, you could tell people what you did, but we have a lot more ways of showing this stuff off now. Like with Garrett's favorite Warlords of Draenor patch, which was the selfie cam patch. Remember that? You were so excited about this, so stoked. I remember talking to you, and you just could not say enough about how excited you were about the selfie. Remember that? You were so stoked.
Oh yeah, man. I was so excited when they finally gave me my updated Blood Elf model that should have been there at launch alongside a total piece of garbage patch. It was great.
Yeah, it was the best. Truly
my favorite.
Truly the best patch in the history of Blizzard.
Definitely didn't lead to the longest break I ever took from this game.
No, not at all. You didn't take off and not play for a long time or any of that. It was all good. It's opposite day, everybody. Yes, Patrick.
It's pretty interesting to think about this. I think, was it Greg Ghostcrawler Street who mentioned in a tweet thread, there was a tweet thread about this, but he was essentially saying.
Do you mean the one linked right under this article that I put on the notes? Do you mean that thread? That one right there?
I was about to say, there is a link right there.
Yeah, I put it in there. He basically
he's
said,
he's directly referencing this article.
Here's what he. I have it up, but I'll read you what that is. We can skip around; it's no problem. He says, "I have been asked a bunch about Morheim's chat with Seth. While WoW did a lot of things right, some of its greatest contributions were social. People forget sometimes that when WoW became popular, things like instant messaging didn't really exist, let alone having social features in every game. Early WoW players could see another player and be all, is that another human? That's crazy," unquote. People connecting on WoW, it was the first experience for many gamers to make a friend online instead of in real life. There were these stories we received about kids who used WoW's mail system as their email, of fathers who could only talk to their teenagers through the game. It's going to be really hard for any MMO in the future to recreate that sheer novelty of social interactions that WoW produced. The world is different than it was then. And I agree with him on that, especially on the social point. That's really all he addressed there was, the social aspects of WoW.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, we tend to forget because we're human that this was such a big part of why WoW was such a wonder. Obviously, there were multiplayer games before, but that version of it was so different. And again, people who will say, "Oh, I was playing MUDs," or "Oh, I was playing EverQuest," or yes, I was too, but WoW was such a much bigger scope and so much more accessible. It was really special. And that, today we have Destiny and stuff like that, and many others, which mean it's not that surprising anymore. But back then, it really was a big selling point and a unique selling point to games in general.
Yeah. Nowadays, it's standard in almost everything, the things you're talking about. And in a lot of ways, those were huge innovations for WoW. We talked some about this last week. In fact, I don't know, maybe Greg heard, he listens to the show, maybe he heard some of this, but it's possible that, EverQuest, you could say all those other things did some cool things for sure. And like I said last week, and I'll reiterate now, they did, but they were cryptic and they were kind of hackery and they were a little bit, I don't know, you had to know. And if you didn't know, you weren't on the right use groups on Usenet and you didn't pay enough attention and whatever. And WoW made that stuff accessible and clickable and, capturable in a way that nobody else had. And,
it was very arcadey. People think WoW is arcadey now.
Oh, yeah.
Compared to EverQuest, like it was a toy. It was a children's game.
Yeah, they called it, it was the baby MMO. I remember all that criticism at the time. I think I mentioned it last week. I'll say it again. When you run to your corpse and there's no downside to death other than you had to run, to EverQuest players, that was just sacrilege, man. They were freaking out. They're like, how could you play that baby game?
Yeah, and this is honestly, this is probably as good a time as ever to look back for a second, as we are on a big episode number. I mean, Scott, like, at what point did you decide to freaking start this up, like this show? Because like now, not only do I take kind of MMOs and everything that WoW brought to the fold like for granted, but also just the idea of like gaming content, because for me the Instance was the first damn really anything like this I ever consumed. I had maybe watched a few Red versus Blue before that, but that was very scripted.
There were a lot of
comedy.
There was a lot of stuff like that in the day, but you're right, like, and especially in podcasting, which was also relatively new in 2006, 5 and 6. It was, well, I've said it before, my main reason for starting the show was the stuff that existed out there for the game. Well, let me back up. The reason I think that you were going to see a big explosion of stuff covering the game, and that would continue into streaming and of course YouTube, was because this game was different in that it had so much to talk about, so many angles to talk about, especially if you're coming at it from the standpoint of, I've been a lifelong Blizzard gamer and have enjoyed their games since, Orcs and Humans. And before that, without even knowing it, playing, Lost Vikings or something like that. You just knew that there would just always be something to dissect, something to talk about, which also speaks to the longevity of the show. We've been here for, January 06 till this year 06 would have been, what was that? What is that? That's 13 years.
Well,
whatever it is.
Yeah, 6 to 16 would be 10, and then add 4 on top of that.
Yeah, so. It's a lot. Like, it's a lot of content, but part of that is because the game just lend itself so well to that. Plus, Blizzard was very vocal about here's what's happening in the patch, here's what we're going to do next week, here's what's launching with this event. Like, they were always having something new to talk about. And it's not that they weren't doing that on some level with EverQuest, but this was just blown. This was exponentially bigger. It just felt bigger across the board. And also, at the time, I knew it was more approachable than ever. This would be the MMO that you wouldn't be afraid to get into, that your nerd friends are into. Like, you could see your relatives wanting to play this. You could see your kids getting interested in it. You could see your parents getting interested in it. Like, it had a broader appeal. And so those were all motivators. But the biggest motivator was, at the time, there were like 3 or 4 shows that were trying to do this, and they were all really bad. No offense. I promise it's not me being cocky at all. I just didn't like them. I wanted to. I tried. I listened for a whole bunch and thought, you know what? These are kind of bad. I'm going to do one that I would want to hear. So let's just see how this goes. And that was 100% my motivation. It was like, I want to do one of these that I would want to listen to, make the kind of content I want to hear. And the rest, as they say, is history. So for all its ups and downs, that's the reason the show, to answer your question, the show started in the first place. But moreover, Blizzard, and in particular World of Warcraft, was a game that you just knew would ooze content. And I don't just mean thank goodness there's always news so I can talk about it, because some weeks there aren't. We've had weeks on here recently where there's like hardly anything to talk about. There are parts of the year, part of the cycle of the expansion, where there's less to talk about. And our interest in the game waxes and wanes. These are all truths every year that I've done this show. But through it all, it's still just a behemoth of content, information, and now history, like rich history, that we can look back on and make, calculated thoughts and points about Cataclysm, where it failed, where it succeeded. Why was Warlord such a bummer? Or do we have better feelings about it now? Like, that's one of my favorite things about all of this, is in the beginning days, it was all new all the time. Now it's like, there's new stuff. When we talk about Shadowlands still were blue in the face, but I love to go back and look at the, where they succeeded, where they failed, where they changed, why they changed. One of the things Morheim says in here, he says, MMOs aren't as popular anymore due to accessibility and time investment. They could have a resurgence in the future. He says maybe there are other types of games that can capture that social experience more. I would argue, as much as I don't like to play it, Fortnite is that for a whole generation of kids. Some of those kids use it as their social network. Some of them use it as their communication methods. That's where they prefer to text and to talk and to hang out. So I don't think we're done innovating in that space, but it is interesting to get his perspective on it. He did say, as WoW has evolved over the years, that has become less social over time. I think that's hard to disagree with. Anyway.
Yeah, but it makes sense with like his answers and the stories that he's telling, right? Like, it almost sounds like he's conceding the fact that like the type of game that WoW was can't exist at the scale that it existed at anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, and that's why it changed. That's why we have the World of Warcraft that we have today.
Right. Yep, I totally agree. He also said, this is interesting, in an effort to increase accessibility, the team removed some of the reasons why you needed to play this with the same group over and over. We've talked about that point ad nauseum on the show. I still don't think anyone has a good answer of what else were you going to do. Like, of course they had to do that over time, because what else? They had to. Otherwise, you leave your game in its original state and it has its fans, but you don't grow. And so this is one of the most interesting things. I hope one day there are books written about all the internal conversations and back and forth and decision making that's happened at Blizzard, that even happens to this day, regarding accessibility versus social depth, because those two things are sometimes just opposed. And that to me is fascinating. So maybe one day we'll get to review a book like that, talk about it on the show. I don't know. And yes, chat, I did say the Fortnite word. I know it's the big F word for a lot of us. Look, Fortnite, like it or hate it.
Why?
I don't know. Some people are weird, Patrick. It's the new thing and they don't like the new thing. Basically, everybody on the internet claims that they're cooler than their parents were, but they're all starting to act like their parents. I don't know if you've noticed this. but it's a thing they do.
Damn kids with their Fortnite games.
Exactly. When I saw that footage of Travis Scott stomping around Fortnite with purple lighting everywhere,
awesome.
It's amazing. Like, are you kidding me? If I was some 12-year-old kid and my favorite game suddenly halted and a gigantic version of my favorite, hip hop artist suddenly came out of nowhere and changed the world in the making of this song and performed I would lose my freaking mind. It would be an amazing experience. Let them have this awesome experience. We should be stoked for that.
I genuinely do not understand why anyone would crap on something like that.
I know why. Because it's not their thing, and so they feel like, Fortnite's for the kids, and I don't wish they got excited about. You know how people get.
I make fun of it all the time, but that's because, you know what? The people who are enjoying it legitimately do not give a shit what my opinion about it is.
No, they don't.
They don't care.
They don't care what we think. I don't personally like playing that game, but damn, it's cool. Now, would I like it if suddenly in World of Warcraft out of nowhere the world suddenly melded and, Elite Tauren Chieftain band started playing somewhere and it was like this really cool live band? Like, all of those things would be really cool in our game. We wouldn't complain about that. So I don't have
that's why it reminds me so much of WoW at its peak, because there were events like the Blood Plague, like the pre-expansion event for Wrath of Lich King that was just like world changing.
Right.
Like, oh my God, I can't go to the auction house for a week because we're just getting bombed by plague. Like it was, I'd never experienced anything like that in a game before. Yeah. And that's why I think the invoking Fortnite makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, like we were. Oh, right.
Yeah, and I don't think we have. I don't know. Generations have their thing. Now we're looking at gaming generations having their thing. I can no longer. I mean, I'm old enough to know that I've been at the front end of all of this. In the 90s, as people were all freaked out about Mortal Kombat. They were freaked out about this. The ESRB came into being because all the parents were losing their minds, and it made me think. Well,
so what was your question again, Garrett?
Wait.
It's been answered.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What was it? I don't remember now. Oh, you asked why the show started, or why it started.
Yeah, I was like, what was it about World of Warcraft?
Yeah, we answered that a long time ago.
Yeah.
But see, we get philosophical on here. It's what the show does, man. That's the other thing. I'm glad you said that, Patrick, being a little bit of a weenie over there. But you know what? It's good that you did it, because it proves another one of the reasons why the show was the right thing to do at the time. The show and Blizzard and the industry they're in and the kind of games they make and the discussion it provides is a much broader philosophical discussion that can be had. And it isn't simply just, they added this to the game. Oh, they took away my proc on the freaking who gives a shit weapon. Like, that stuff's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And for people who really want to drill down.
Depends on the proc and the weapon. If it's my weapon, I give a shit.
Of course you do.
If it's someone else's, I don't mind so much.
And I don't want to take that away from people at all. But we've never really been about that. We're about the broader picture, implications, ramifications. That's what's interesting to me. And World of Warcraft just has that stuff in spades. You can't. I tried this with the Old Republic. It didn't work. I've tried this with other kinds of games. It doesn't work as well. It can, but most of the time it's another Blizzard game where it works. So anyway, on this 600th triumphant episode, there's your talk about 600. Okay. What else is going? Oh, he said this. He said Blizzard can count on the community to get them to let them know very directly and critically what they're doing wrong and what they're doing right. So that's his way of saying.
That is an interesting way of putting it.
Yeah. Understatement is what that is. All right. And then we talked about what Greg had to say. And it's a great little thread. You should go find it. If you don't follow Greg Street, he's at Ghost Crawler on Twitter. And
another thing that this reminded me is I miss Morheim.
Yeah.
I'm under. First of all, I have no idea why he did that interview. Like, I guess usually you would have some kind of a communications aim for something like that. Maybe he just was a friend of the person who he talked to. I don't know. But it kind of crossed my mind. Like, why is he?
Well, he did just for the record, the interview. VentureBeat was talking to him mostly about, hey, you're a millionaire ex-CEO of a thing. What are you doing now? And he talked about all the gaming investments they were making. And then they just threw all these Blizzard questions at him.
I know why Venturby would like to talk to him. I don't know why he would like to talk to them.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
What's the communications aim? I'm sure. Anyway, I was just wondering about that.
Yeah.
But I'm under no illusions that Morhaime was just as much of a, shark money desiring person as everyone else would be and is at Blizzard now. People he was also very genuine, but he was very good at showing that. And people don't really realize everything that Blizzard did at the time of Morhaime's tenure made money. Everything. Like, money was always one of the main goals. So people to understand what I'm saying now is, back then they knew how to run the company, like to make it for the fans, sure, but it was also very much about the money. But also, he was so good at being who he is, which is a genuine gamer and someone like us, and communicating that warmth that he has. He's a unique CEO. It's so rare to have that kind of quality in executives, and it was really special.
I do miss his I don't know, just his kind of vibe. Like, he just seemed, you said the word genuine. I think that's probably the right word. He just seemed, whether he is or isn't, whether it's as much as I think or not, it doesn't matter. There was this feeling of like, that guy cares about the people that are working for him. He cares about the experience they're creating. The money mattered, but it didn't matter more than that. And whether that's a false impression or not, we can get as cynical as we want, but it still felt that way. And I liked it.
I met the dude waiting in line for an overpriced hot dog at BlizzCon. And he was waiting in line to buy food. And there was just something I found very charming about that he didn't send someone else to go get his damn food.
Yeah.
Which is insane and very, celebrity touting. But like, if anyone is going to have someone else go get them a damn cheeseburger, it'd be like Morhaime at BlizzCon.
Right.
So it was something I found very, very, very charming.
Very unassuming, very chill. Yeah, I like that.
We haven't talked about Rally Cry on the show yet, have we?
No, he's heavily invested in Rally Cry.
Yeah, that's the answer to your question, Patrick, of why he would be talking to Venturby, because he just was. It sounds like all of the money that just was invested in Rally Cry, all 1.2 million, came from Mike and Amy Morhaime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of money.
Wait, what's Rally Cry?
So Rally Cry Ventures,
competitive multiplayer gaming business that I'm actually not too sure what in God's name they're doing. But,
it's weird. It's
are
hard
they making games or organizing tournaments? Or?
No, it's like how would you put this? It's like a structure or like
so there's two more Blizzard. It's being spearheaded by two other Blizzard alums, which is Adam and Tyler Rosen.
Mm-hmm.
I had clearly you know the outcome. I had multiple interviews with Blizzard, and I was interviewed by one of the two Rosens each time. But they were like the founders of TESPA, which is, the whole collegiate esports program that, really took off. Mm-hmm. So this is their next venture. They're no longer at Blizzard, and they've secured over $1 million in like funding from the Morheims.
Yeah. So my understanding, based on his interview, which I listened to, and I don't have this transcripted, so I couldn't tell you word for word, but he was talking about it as like a platform for social aspects of gaming, as a platform that's like, I don't want to say it's like Discord, because it isn't, but it's an attempt to build social bridge continuity between different games and have infrastructure for it, so different games could use it for their games. I don't know if that means white labeling it. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like it's a lot of that stuff, which is why he focused a lot on social aspects of WoW and what he learned from that, and then talked about how you parlay some of that into this Rally Cry stuff. So it's not super clear what ultimately it is.
I'm still not sure what it is.
Yeah, it's not super clear to me, but it sounds interesting, and it seems like he's busy with it, and certainly has given a bunch of money to it. So we shall see. Patrick, you're not much younger than Mike Morhaime. He's only 52. Sorry, pre-show we were having a little tease back and forth about ages, and Patrick, you're right on his tail.
Well, let's put it like that. He looks older.
Yeah.
Can we say that?
He does, and he's seen a lot, man.
Yeah.
He's seen a lot. So
5 years ago, I looked so much younger than I do now. I think the beard doesn't help. Also, it's so white.
Yeah.
It's the pandemic's fault. That's
all right. You just happen to have your midlife crisis during a pandemic. Rough times, man. Rough times.
Oh, you can't even go out to buy a Corvette. That sucks.
Nope. Where are you
Listen,
gonna?
I already have a very young Scandinavian wife.
I was gonna say he's got the blonde trophy wife, but she happens to also be an awesome wife and a real trophy at the same time. Yeah. All right. Hey, guess what I got here? Some new descriptions for your races in Shadowlands, and it's not everything, but it's some of them. First of all, for the Alliance in general, you are a soldier of the Noble Alliance, a coalition of kingdoms dedicated to upholding the ideas of valor and justice across Azeroth. And now, check this part out. If you're a human, this is what they say about you now. It used to be something else, but now it's this. Hailing from the human kingdom of Stormwind, you follow in the footsteps of brave knights, clever sorcerers, and legendary heroes. You like that, humans, huh? It's pretty good.
Permission to be grumpy.
Permission granted. Please explain yourself. Why are you grumpy about it?
Why did you put this on the show? This is the most boring thing we possibly could have talked about.
No, it's exciting because everybody. I can almost hear that dude at the beginning when the camera's zooming in and you're getting ready to do your stuff. They're gonna have to change all that because that's what these are. These are all changing intro character business. So it's not just like on a document somewhere. You're gonna get when you start a new dude on Exile's Reach. They're going to tell you stuff like this. Like Night Elves. Check this out, Garrett. As one of the ancient and elusive Night Elves, you have ventured forth from the sacred forest to aid your allies and defend the winds. How do you feel about that? You like those blue-haired idiots with the glowy eyes? What do you think?
I'm with Garrett. Here's what they should have written.
Night Elves, you chose correctly. Humans, you are unoriginal. Gnomes, you have a soul.
Yeah.
Draenei, you're going to regret this once you see the running animation.
Good point.
Orcs, you are also unoriginal.
Oh, there you go. Thank you very much. I was going to be grumpy about humans and not orcs being unoriginal, but yeah, they're both
Forsaken, unoriginal. The only option. Tauren, Moo. Trolls, the only other option.
Yeah.
Blood Elves, almost as cool as Night Elves. Goblins. Damn it, I actually like all the horde races. I can't really make fun of them.
Yeah, you don't like anything but orcs. Or you like them all but orcs. Right?
And I just last week talked about how I really loved my my female orc warrior.
All right, you at least have to hear this, okay? This goblin one's pretty great, this new one. As members of the Bilgewater Cartel, you and your fellow goblins had sided with the Horde for the promise of adventure and profit! Those guys are stoked. Can you believe how excited? All right, that's all I'll read of those. You guys don't have to hear that anymore.
There is a thing to discuss in this, which was a minor ridiculous controversy, if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, go ahead. What?
Some people were unhappy with the description of the Horde because, according to them, it didn't acknowledge the treachery of Sylvanas, which not only I think the description actually makes sense, especially, well, anyway, it makes sense, but also this is the description you get before BFA and before all of that happens. So obviously that's not going to be taken.
Listen, man, this was written by the Horde, okay? So it's going to be like Russia or North Korea. They're not going to own up to this shit.
Yeah, or us, or anyone else for that matter. That's the nature of propaganda.
Imagine the description, like, as a member of the Horde, you're really bummed that Sylvanas wanted to kill everyone and became a traitor to your cause. But I guess you still have to do stuff.
Well, the Forsaken stuff used to mention her, and it doesn't mention her at all anymore. So the Horde one says, you are a soldier of the mighty Horde, a disparate band of races united in their pursuit of freedom, honor, and glory. So that's pretty whitewashed. And then you get down to the Forsaken. The undead Forsaken may be shunned by the living, but your people are determined to rise above the ruins in their past and forge a new future. No Sylvanas mentioned anymore. Done. The Dark Queen can take a hike.
Well,
yeah.
Anyway, I still think this is the most boring segment of this.
Great. So of 600 episodes, I chose the most boring thing to talk about.
No, for this episode.
Oh.
For this
There
episode,
were
there's definitely been other
more
boring things
bits
we've
in
talked
other
about on
episodes.
particularly quiet weeks. By all means.
All right. Fair enough.
I'm sorry, I should have led that with permission to tease you about something that could have been brought up before the show.
Yeah, that's the truth.
That's-
I could have
that's what I
passed this
should've led
around,
with.
but no, I wanted to spring it on you guys, and now you're stuck with it. So enjoy. Yeah, who is the leader of the Forsaken now? Like, do they have a de facto anything? What are they doing? I didn't think about that.
Is it Lillian Voss or who is it?
Oh,
I legitimately don't know.
it's not. What's his name didn't take
Oh,
over.
who's his friend? His good friend. I have a bow dude.
I have a bow.
What's
dude.
his face? You're horde players.
Yeah, but
What's his name?
who was I have a bow dude?
Are you talking about Nathanos?
Thanos?
Yes, there
Oh.
you go.
No,
he has a
no,
he has
Sylvanas-
a bow at some point.
Yeah, yeah.
Sylvanas took her sex toy to the Shadowlands.
Yeah,
with her.
he's
was-
with her.
Oh, really? Oh, I
Yeah.
didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I haven't played through the horde campaign because
Her
I'm not
sex
a dirty
toy.
horde.
I can't believe
I can't even make it sound
I
genuine.
like Nathanos, Blight Caller, or whatever the hell his name is. He's cool, man.
Bright collar.
Is it Bright or Blight? Is it Blight?
No, it's Blight. It's Blight.
Yeah, that was Blight.
It's Blight. It's Blight, of course.
All right. Well, he's a sex toy I can get behind. Wait, what? All right. Anyway, moving on. Torghast is getting updates in the alpha. Let's talk about those real quick. Classic Warriors now, or sorry, classes. Here's the changes. Warriors now have anima powers available to them and can now access Torghast, Tower of the Damned. So it's not just casters anymore. If you're a warrior, get in there. Priests have received new anima powers. I watched somebody do a healer priest run of Torghast on a stream. I don't remember who it was. I'd give them credit. That was hilarious because they're not soloing through there as I don't remember which priest they were. They just definitely weren't Shadow, but just got his ass handed to him left and right. It was pretty funny. Anyway, fixed a bug that allowed creative testers to play classes that weren't quite ready for Torghast. So I guess if you tried to take a hunter in there were ways to do it. Areas, a new cell block, the Soul Forges, is now available in Torghast. Speak to the Wayfinder to access it. Flask Torghast, also with Flask, Torghast is what is Flask? Flask? I don't know what that means. Anyway, it's taken up residence in Revendreth Pridefall Hamlets. Is that a dude? Is that a guy? I don't know what Flask is. Garrett, does that seem familiar? You've played Torghast.
Flask Torghast. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what that means. It's weird. They also say anima cells have new Maw-themed visuals. The anima power bloating fodder should appear less often. And Maw sentries and Maw guards now disarm their opponents less often. Thank you for that, because disarming sucks. Fixed the bug in which the random portals floor caused portals to be a bit too random. So a little bit of testing there, however you want to put it. But anyway, you guys excited? You can get in, take a guy in there that isn't wearing a robe, play a proper Torghast
I
run.
did a warrior run today.
Woo! How'd it go?
I got some really boring powers.
Sweet.
I got a lot of things that extended the. And now, granted, I am not a warrior main. I am not. I don't know the inner, like, really specific minutia of how a warrior works. But I got a lot of shout alterations, and they were just kind of boring. I wanted the like heroic leap constantly, or have like 17 charges of charge, and I just kept getting shout augmentations, and I was like, man, I'm not excited about shouts and warriors. This is why I'm playing a warrior.
Yeah, shouts are boring. They're boring.
I started finding some really cool stuff later on, though. Like I got one that I think I was spec'ing the recklessness, but it was that tier that recklessness is on, like, which is also sharing with Avatar, and I forget what the third one is. I got one where when you pop whatever talent at that tier you took, it randomly picks one of the other two and pops it as well.
Oh wow!
So and I kept getting Avatar, so I would pop recklessness, and then I would get giant and pop Avatar form too, and it was nuts. It was exactly what I was hoping for.
That's cool.
After getting a lot of shout augmentations, I was like, oh, this is freaking dope.
That's cool. What spec did you run in there? You doing?
I went Fury.
Fury. All right, that'd be the way to go. See, I just want to, I don't know, whirlwind through the whole thing. Just give me an augment that lets me whirlwind all day. That'd be all right.
You want to be a barbarian, essentially?
Yeah.
I guess.
Diablo.
Yeah, just never stop. Just
That was So I did a few more runs last week before Warrior got added, and I started to get that feeling because I love my Barbarian in Diablo 3, and I started kind of getting this realization that I was like, I want to dust my Demon Hunter back off because I'm actually really enjoying the Demon Hunter in Torghast on the alpha, but B, I was just like, I just want the closest surrogate to a Barbarian that I can possibly get, and I think the answer is Warrior. So, like, because it gives me such strong Diablo vibes. It's all I want to play. Well, that's not true. I've been on a major alt kick in the live game right now. I've been just going nuts trying different alts.
Are you? I mean, to what end are you trying to get them all maxed out and done? And
I'm working on maxing out my rogue right now. And then the other day I just got a hair and took a mage from 1 to 20 because I have never had a mage.
Oh, mages are fun. I like mages.
They get pretty rad. I thought at first I'm like, this is kind of boring. I'm a wizard that casts spells, like ooh. But then I started getting more spells and a water elemental, and it got really rad. So I think I might go back to that once I'm done with my rogue.
Nice. It's only been in the last few years I've gotten into melee characters at all. Prior to that, give me a mage, give me a hunter, or whatever your video game is. Just give me range. Magic would be cool, but it doesn't have to be. Like, I don't know why that's always been my jam, and I guess it still is. But that Demon Hunter changed things for me. Speaking of which, check this out. No more restrictions on how many Demon Hunters you can have. You can have as many as you per realm, I should say. You still have an overall character limit and a realm character limit.
You can only be one race per faction, and they only have 2 specs in a game where you can just switch between the specs. Yep. I don't know why you would really want to do this, but it's freaking dope.
I agree. They say their plan is to remove. This is a tweet by the Warcraft devs account. It says we plan to remove the 1 Demon Hunter per realm restriction with the Shadowlands pre-patch, so you get it right before. Since that is the point at which Demon Hunters no longer start at a very high level. So yeah, no more of that. You can have as many as you want. I mean, I don't know why you'd want more other than, I don't know. I guess because you want to have an alliance one at the same time you have your horde one, and now you can have 2 on that same server, on that same realm. I don't know. Like, actually, as cool as this is, I don't know what it actually would do for me, because I'm not going to go make 5 more of these. Like, why would I? That seems weird. But you are no longer... what's the movie I'm trying to think of? Oh my gosh, with the song by freaking Queen. Can't cut your head off. You're the only Highlander. That's it. You're no longer the Highlander. I couldn't find it in my head. It was there somewhere. I had to dig around. But yeah, you're no longer the Highlander.
Very little to do with Highlander.
Well, the Highlander could only be fair, 1.
So maybe that.
But he could only be 1.
Okay. Yes. Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Scott.
Okay. That makes almost no sense. But sure.
Oh, that's not that hard to figure. Yes, Garrett. What were you gonna say? Go ahead.
I just have to interject this to hopefully save us some emails, although it's so late after the fact. I'm sure we'll get some anyway. Flask Torghast is the giant Tauren that sends you the Torghast. So an NPC has been added in Revendreth as well.
Okay.
That will take you to Torghast. You don't just have to be in Bastion now to access Torghast.
I didn't know his name was Flask. So bad.
I think it's Flaska. Because the Blizzard Watch article that tells you how to get into Torghast calls it Flaska, so one of them might be wrong. Who knows?
Well,
but
Blizzard's actual post on their forum says Flask, but that could be. Who knows what that is? That's fine.
Yeah,
it's
giant
a weird
Tauren Death Knight looking dude that takes you to Torghast.
Who names a Death Knight looking Tauren Flask? Come on, that's dumb.
It's Flask Torghast.
That's what you name your dumb little gnome guy or little goblin person. Flask. Come here, Flask. Like, that's not a big Tauren name. It's like, what
play on word I'm not getting?
If he says, what brings you here? I'd say, me, coming to look at your dumb name. Change it. Flask is stupid. That's a dumb name. Anyway.
I like the idea that Scott would be at a bar and be like, yeah, I'll fight him. What's his name? Flask. And then a giant Tauren walks in and he just goes, I have made a grave error.
Looking all blood hoofy and gonna kick my ass. Hey, look, I got a 1,000,000% agreed by Rusty Nails in the chat room. So take that, Patrick. I don't know why I'm saying that to Patrick. Patrick
just so combative today. So combative.
Anyway.
I think it's 1 million.
Oh, is it 1 million?
I don't think so.
That's
I
no,
mean,
100, sorry,
clearly this is
100,000.
the important part.
100,000%.
I think-
Sorry.
I think I managed to make this portion of the show even more boring than the part about the narration for the races.
Oh, well, good. Then we're doing this. All right. A quick look around the rest of Blizzard. You should all go look at the Reddit AMA they did for Heroes of the Storm. It was good. And a lot of work being done on that game. I won't give you too many details here. You can catch that on like Into the Nexus or some other.
There is confirmed less than 42 heroes being worked on.
Yeah, they did say that, which is weird.
Also, there's a really good kerning joke in there. That's
I
answered
missed
by
that.
a blue for my graphic design friends out there.
Oh, that's fantastic. Dude, I took all the typography classes, 1, 2, and 3. So I'm in on that sort of stuff. They also said something about no healers or anything that falls into the role of support is being worked on currently. But they got a bunch of reworks in the hopper, and the rework on Tassadar was basically like starting with a new character, which I thought was interesting. And that is, by the way, an awesome rework, and he is fun as hell, and I highly recommend picking up Tassadar again. He's once again great. Check me out. He still talks like that, which is the best.
His win rate is suffering greatly, but his DPS is very high.
Yes, because he's made of glass. Don't worry. He'll beef him. They'll beef him up. They'll tune him. He'll be okay. Hearthstone. What's going on in Hearthstone these days?
Nothing. Second week of no changes whatsoever, anything being added to the game. In their defense, after the longest period of constant updates the game has ever experienced.
Nice. That's not exactly what you want, but also the game is in a pretty good place. So,
esports are back for it. That's kind of the big thing right now. Grandmasters has kicked back off. We're already on week 4.
mm-hmm.
Is that right? God, it's been screaming by. Thank you, Quarantine, for just making the weeks blend together. But they just had a really cool. They just wrapped week 3, and the format was really awesome. The players had to bring one of every class, like a deck for every class in the game, and then their opponent banned 6 of the decks. So it was a bunch of the underpowered classes getting represented in high-level play. It was really cool.
All of this during the time where possibly their greatest competition to date launched on mobile and was already on PCs and Macs, but
Magic's been out for a while, Scott, so I don't know what card game you're talking
look
about.
at you doing. Look at you with your Riot bias. It's okay, though. I understand it. I feel it. I feel you.
All right. It's fine, man. Like, TFT is awesome. Like, League of Legends is like an amazing world-changing game that is just not my particular flavor.
Not a Legends of Runeterra fan, but I kind of like it. I think it's okay.
Listen, I played it. It's really good. It's just, I think, like, my compliment to it is also the reason why I don't want to play it, because it takes a lot of what I like from both Magic and Hearthstone and blends them together.
Yeah, it
it's
does.
just that I like Magic and Hearthstone individually more than I like their combination in Runeterra.
So you like chocolate by itself, you like peanut butter by itself. You do not like it when chocolate gets into your peanut butter. Is that what you're telling me?
That's a really hard analogy because I love Reese's. So
here in the Western states, we always said Reese's, but I think you're actually saying it right. Reese's is the right way to say it.
now you've got me wondering if I interchange it at will depending on the sentence.
Totally
Because
possible.
I've never had an opinion on how to say Reese's. Reese's.
Yeah.
Oh, man, thanks.
If you say
my
Reese's
brain catch on
Pieces,
fire.
so you wouldn't say we always said Reese's Pieces, and that's how we would
I
gauge
definitely say that.
it. So you don't say Reese's Pieces or Reese's Pieces.
I don't know. And now you've reminded me that Katie and I like to fight with each other because I say crayon and she says crayon.
Crayon, yeah. My daughter says
I
crayon.
am a distinct 2-syllable on the word crayon.
It is correct what you're doing. She's wrong.
Yeah.
You are right.
It is. I agree.
Patrick agrees. He can do it
That's
in 4
how we say
languages.
it in French. So,
Do you say crayon in French? Say it in French. I want to hear it.
well, no, we say it the proper way, but we have 2 syllables.
Well, let me hear it. Let's hear it. How would you say it?
I sense fun making.
I'm not. I swear. I just love hearing. I want to hear your multilingual take. That's all.
Don't dance for him. Don't dance for him. You don't have to, Patrick. You don't have to do something because Scott asked
I'm
you.
not going to.
You can tell him no.
All right, fine. I like it.
No, Scott. I will not say crayon in French.
Okay. I think you just did. That's the best part.
No, I did not, and I will not.
All right, you will Will not, did not, cannot. All right, moving on. Let's see here. Overwatch. Hey, Overwatch is about to get a weird out of nowhere competition. Did you hear about Amazon's Crucible? Have you heard of that? That's a thing.
I heard about it. I didn't realize it was competition to Overwatch.
It's launching on the 20th of May.
Patrick with the smack talk.
Yeah, that's pretty good. May 20th, that thing hits, and I don't hardly know a thing about it, but I kind of want to play it.
I don't think we know a lot about it. Anyone knows anything about it, actually.
I started watching a trailer today, and then I realized I had other things to do, and I didn't even finish watching the trailer.
That'd be cool. It's coming out in what, 2 weeks?
2 weeks.
1 week?
Yeah, we'll give it a shot and see what's
Could be
up.
cool.
Yeah.
Anything from Amazon is like, I just need to play it because I don't know if I have faith in them or not.
Well, yeah, because they haven't launched anything. That MMO they're working on has been delayed again.
Exactly.
It's like, we don't know if anything's good. I know this. They have bottomless money pockets, so whatever they're doing, they'll probably make something eventually.
I was hoping for bottomless mimosas.
You're always hoping for those. Okay, and then the other thing was about that I was going to say, and I forgot. Oh, I had somebody at Riot reach out and say, "Hey, do you want a beta key for Valorant?" I said, "Sure."
Valorant?
I said, "I need to try it." "Sure, please. Can I try it?" And then they never got back to me, so I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. They were just dangling that fish.
Well, they just wanted to know if you wanted one. They didn't say they were going to give you a key. They were like, "Hey,
Are you sure they were
would you
from
want
Riot?"
one?"
Yeah, I mean, I think. Yes, I'm not going to say names, but I know they work at Riot. So
It could have just been someone screwing with you. I love the sorry, this narrative is so much more fun in my head when you're gullible and not actually 100% aware of them working at Riot. It
was like my mom, in a Facebook phishing scheme, or as I almost just said, Facebook. All right.
All right. In order to get you your key to Valorant, I need your social security number.
I promise.
Date of birth.
Yeah, date of birth.
And color of your hair.
Your Windows 10 serial number.
Yep. That's all we need. That's all that's left. All right, Overwatch, I don't know. It's the same. Nothing going on. A good game, but things are just...
Oh, well, you know, that sweet summer child, Garrett, who was complaining about having nothing new for 2 whole weeks.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, this is funny when we live in the world of Overwatch.
Yeah.
I mean, we did get the new hero, but...
It's been pretty dry, though. Pretty dry.
Hey, listen, you know, I like to be very humble about the games that I have hitched my wagon to, but Heroes of the Storm is just the best, healthiest, most frequently updated game in Blizzard's catalog, so I don't know why everyone isn't just playing that.
I mean, it seems like a lot are. Every time I get in this last 2 weeks, plenty of people playing. Lots of great games.
Queue times are instant. It is wonderful.
It is pretty great right now. The game's kind of kicking ass. It's also where I got this thing this morning.
I miss real-time strategy.
Yeah, I pulled it out of there. So when
some of the best lines in there, and some of them are straight up hidden and never used, like Kael'thas saying, "I'd mana tap that."
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. That's one they probably had to argue over before it made it.
Probably, yeah,
probably.
Yeah, that wouldn't. That's not the type of humor that goes over as well nowadays.
No.
But damn it, it's such a good line read.
I agree.
By the Kael'thas actor is hilarious.
Diablo is just. I wanted to bring this up because nothing's really happening there except that I'm feeling an itch again, and I may have to do the next season or even just get in for the crap of it because I missed that game. So just wanted to say that about Diablo. Not a lot happening with it though. All right.
Played a little bit of Destiny.
Oh, you did?
It's not a Blizzard game, but
how'd that go? Yeah.
Oh, pretty well.
Yeah.
It's still a fun game.
Did you get a bunch of loot and increase your gear score or whatever the hell they're doing now?
Oh, so much increase. I hadn't played it in a while.
Man, I am so ready for more Halo in my life that I'm also. You could just copy paste. I am so ready for more Destiny in my life, but not the same Destiny. I need new Destiny.
Yeah, you need a new Destiny.
Well, it's probably not going to be Destiny 3. It's going to be like another expansion. So,
well, hopefully if it's 3.
But you're in luck. We're going to get Halo Infinite in, just a few months now, and it should be Destiny E if.
Hold on.
I'm still sitting here waiting for one of them to blink and be like, "Sorry, we're delaying our console because of coronavirus," and then everyone else goes, "Oh, thank God, we're delaying ours too."
Exactly. All right, I got a really good.
I think they need money, and they're gonna need to release something at some point because the virus has not been kind to bottom lines and quarterly profits.
Uh,
So I
You know
think
what else I
that
would like?
we'll
I'd like
see.
more of is Diablo.
Yeah,
Really
more
like
Diablo.
more Diablo.
Yeah, more of that. Like that expansion that never
See
happened.
what you're doing there, Garrett. Scott, do you see what he's doing there?
I see what he's doing there, but I will say this: I had a really great Destiny joke, and I'm not going to make it now because the chat room ruined it for me. But it was going to be, I was going to say, Garrett, this is what happens when a mommy Destiny loves a daddy Destiny very much. They have a Destiny's child.
Well, Scott, I don't think you're ready for this jelly.
I'm never ready for your jelly, dude. Ever. All right. Hey, time for this.
Hear ye, hear ye.
Why, it's the town crier.
All right, let's get ready for this jelly. We got an email from Ren, who sent this in via the email address, theinstance@gmail.com, and says this.
Your name is amazing. I hope it's your actual name.
I know, Ren is a very cool name. I like it a lot. WREN is the name. Anyway, I should say the whole name. Ren Froze. The last name is Froze. That's pretty cool. Anyway, subject. When I played women in WoW as a dude, because we talked about this last week, right?
Why I played women in WoW?
What did I say? When? Yeah, I meant why.
You said when.
Yeah, I meant why.
I mean, we could just bring it full circle and say Ren. I played women in WoW as a dude.
Hey, that was as good as my Destiny's Child joke. Nice job. Well done there. All right. Really simple, it says. I started playing females when my group of gamers wanted to swap to Horde side. This has been changed now, but most of the models that stood up straight were females. All the males were bent over. I can't walk around all humpbacked all day. Lady orcs for the win, says Renfro.
This is a big reason I rolled a female orc.
Yeah.
Okay, they look so much more menacing standing upright.
Well, the new orc dudes look great now. They're all like this, with the back's back and their shoulders up, and they're looking like, normal.
Like an angry gorilla during mating season.
Yeah, I'm into it. I like the new orc stance. That's kind of the only way I go. Hunched over is stupid now. All right, got another one from Adam Kegbottom Smith is his last name. He says this, hey guys, does anyone still care about Diablo Immortal? I was pursuing Google Play for games, and I was like, oh yeah, I registered for Diablo Immortal news and release info. And it's been 2 years, and I'm considering unsubscribing to it because it seems as though it may get canceled. And by the time it comes out, well, I'll be playing Shadowlands or Diablo 4 anyhow. Thoughts? Well, I understand your feeling. It probably, I don't think it's not coming out, but who knows, dude?
No, but it seems like something happened. It's getting pretty weird.
Yeah.
It's been introduced. It's possible that they had, plans for this month or, this period and they got changed by the virus. But even then, it's been a year and a half since the announcement and nothing at all. It seems like I wouldn't be surprised if they had to change something they weren't expecting having to change, or there's something happening there, I think.
I agree
I don't
with
know.
you. I don't know what, but something went weird. And whether it went south enough for that to get canceled, I don't know.
I doubt that.
You don't
I
think
doubt
so?
that.
Okay.
I just love hearing from folks on this show about Diablo Immortal because it's usually I think unintentionally positive, because I love that the starts was, does anyone still care about Diablo Immortal? I'm like, well, if the internet is to be believed, nobody ever cared about Diablo Immortal.
Yeah.
And yet we keep getting questions about, hey, did I miss it? Like, what is going on with this game? There's clearly people who want to play this game.
Yeah.
I'm not really one of them, but I'm also I'm not angry about its existence.
Yeah. People want the game weirdly, but don't want it, or they don't want to be seen as wanting it. They just want to check in. We're all weird is what the bottom line is. Bottom line for me is, I don't know. I don't know if I care anymore. Like, I was ready to play it. I was excited to just have a thing, but I wasn't going to, devote my life to it, but I was going to play it. But do I care now? I was
excited too when I had a 3GS. So as far as I'm concerned, they're about as late as they possibly can be. So however much longer they take it's fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. It does strike me as odd. Like, jokes aside, I'll give you that.
Yeah. It has gone weird.
Why isn't it out yet?
Quiet in a way that no one.
Well, at least hearing something about it. That's because I understand why they decided not to talk about it at BlizzCon last year, maybe, but it's been a while. I don't know.
Here's the only news we've gotten about it was a leak from China, where NetEase let it slip that, well, it's pretty much done and we don't know what Blizzard's waiting for, was the translation. And then Blizzard quickly shut down all that and didn't really respond to it, but kind of just, put all the PR monsters on it. And that was the end of that. That's the most we've heard, was a leak that it was pretty much done and they were waiting for Blizzard.
It wasn't even a leak, I don't think it was. I think it was an interview by NetEase's CEO, was it?
Was it?
But that, even that, I'm not sure how much it actually means because, Chinese communities are well known for having a much higher tolerance for buggy, unfinished games than Western gamers. And even by those standards, by the standards of regular Western games, Blizzard polishes more. So
I was the same, man. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm still playing Modern Warfare. Game is a buggy mess.
It's a mess, but it's dude.
No, I don't think you realize how buggy those games are.
Maybe
the ones that come out, the MMOs and anyway. The point is, I don't think that what NetEase was saying about Diablo Immortal being basically done really meant that it was ready to be released for Blizzard, but it's been a year and a half, and we haven't heard anything at all. So there's, I don't know, something
weird going on. We don't know, but I do know this. I want to thank these people: Sarah Russell, Skylar Lehan, Todd Bellinger, and Travis Manders. Why? Because they supported us as Instance Plus members at theinstance.net. You guys are saints. Maybe sinners too. I don't know. I don't make judgments, but you guys are rad for supporting us. And if you'd like to do that and get all the extra stuff that comes with, you can go read all about it at theinstance.net and sign up. Before we get out of here, a quick roundabout to find out what kind of content you can get from these two chuckleheads this week. Let's start with Patrick. Patrick, what else are you doing right now?
If you speak French, hey, there you go. If you speak French and you're not listening to Le Rendezvous Tech /or Le Rendezvous Jeu, what are you even doing with your life?
Yeah.
If you want to speak French, go listen to these shows. If you want to practice hearing French, go listen to these shows. If your name is French, go listen to these shows. Just go listen to these shows, man. Just stop arguing.
Did you guys hear that? What you should do. It says if you guys want to practice listening to French, go listen to these shows. I like that. I like that a lot.
There are many reasons why you should. If you like French toast, if you like French fries, who doesn't like French fries?
Nobody.
If you want to practice listening to me, you can prepare for the next time we'll be together at BlizzCon by practicing listening to me so that you can do it right.
What if I don't want to practice listening to you? I just want to listen to you.
Yeah, what about that? No practice needed, right?
Oh, that you can also do. It works for both. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
It is absolutely endless, the possibilities. Le Rendezvous Tech, Le Rendezvous Jeu, go check those.
All right, go check those out. Those are French words. All right, hey Garrett, what else? What's going on AMove.tv these days? What do you?
Well, AMove.tv has everything. If you're into Hearthstone, Heroes, even more WoW, all kinds of podcasts over there for you. WoW Killer is my other WoW show that I do with Taliesin. We just put up a brand new Let's Talk About Star Wars with Jenny Josephson and Tom Merritt about the finale of Clone Wars. It just went up today. And like the thing that's not on AMove that I would like you to go check out is my new short video series on working remotely. It's called Remotely, and it's not on my channel. You have to go over to youtube.com/Arrowhead Center. Again, that's youtube.com/Arrowhead Center, and look for my stupid face on thumbnails. Those are all the Remotely videos, and they're tips on how to up your remote conferencing game. There's a lot of crossover with podcasts. Want to learn the stupid things I have to check every single time before I start up like a Skype conversation to make sure things are working? I go into that.
Wow.
So go check it out.
All right.
It is so seriously and professionally done. I don't want to say I was surprised, but I guess I was a little bit surprised. I'm used to, let's have fun podcasting Garrett mode, not like let's do the thing like as working seriously Garrett mode.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's intense stuff. I will agree with you. Professional as hell. Nice work.
It's almost like it's a different platform, and I can't use words like dicks in the middle of the episode. So
I like that you went with the plural of dick instead of just dick.
That is, by the way, if you ever wanted to know what it sounds like in the Weinzierl household when a top deck in Hearthstone is less than wonderful, that's the exact sound that just sounds out through the house.
You just go dicks. I like it.
Pretty much.
All right. Nice job. That's when I see my two friends, Richard and Rick, I go, dicks. Just kidding. That's not true. Hey, that's it, everybody. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us. TheInstance.net is our website. If you want more shows like this, go to frogpants.com. I got all kinds of stuff going on over there, including free art classes on the weekend with my daughter. We're spreading out to whoever wants to watch them. Mostly for kids, but you don't have to be a kid to come learn some basic drawing concepts. That's on the weekends. Go to frogpants.com/art class to learn more. And there's more stuff over there you're going to want to check out. I have a weekly comic. I have all kinds of cool stuff. So go check it out. All right. That's probably going to do it for us, I think. What else? Oh, Instant Show on Twitter. I'm at Scott Johnson. Garrett, Art, and Not Patrick are theirs. And like I said, frogpants.com for more. That'll do it for us. For me, for Patrick, for Garrett. We'll see you next time.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Yes. Get more at frogpants.com.
Hello, China.
Oh, God, that's good.
That's good stuff right there.
Oh, that's just fantastic.
Yeah, I miss